Um,
Ready? Jane Flanagan,
Present.
Kyle Elliott, Felix Raimondo,
Present.
Janine Riley, Carol Smith.
Present. Okay. Is there anyone online, or I guess on the call, public comment? No? Okay.
Ms. Smith, we do have a couple of individuals who I believe are associated with the SEPTA project.
Yes.
Yeah. But I don't know if any of them want to speak now or if they were just looking to comment when we get to the, I believe, under the,
Apologies.
sorry. But I do believe that there's going to be some conversation later on in the meeting regarding the Matson Mill and SEPTA project.
Right.
If you want to bump up that discussion so we can have that now, that's perfectly acceptable. Or if the SEPTA folks just are want to make a statement, that's also perfectly acceptable.
Well, Stephanie, and I can't see all the names that are there. Do you folks, excuse me, someone is knocking at my door. I'm sorry.
And Shannon, the minute she reflects, it does look like Mrs. Riley has joined us,
Yes, 6:32.
but she is muted.
Thank
Oh, sorry. I'm unmuted now.
I apologize. Can you give me just a second here, or I'll be back in 1 minute. I'm sorry. I did not expect somebody to be knocking on my door. I apologize. Usually nobody knocks on my door, so that's why it was so strange. Well, if we want to do that discussion before the finance report, I'd still like to close out public comment and chairperson minutes and my minutes. Is that, do the folks, the guests here want to do that? Hi, Janine.
Hey, Carol.
Michael, it looks like you're talking, but we're not getting any audio from you.
Well, how about if I'll do my chairperson minutes and then I'll go over the minutes. The chairperson minutes, there's just a few things I wanted to mention. One was that Stephen is here this evening, and I mentioned that because for the next few months, the remaining part of the year, we've asked Stephen to up his time a little bit to help with the finance transitions, and I guess you guys are going to speak to that tonight, where the grants are and if everything is ready for Chris Gibbons and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to alert the board to that Steve, he can come to all these meetings if he wants, but I wanted him here tonight so he and Ed could go over what they've been doing. The second thing I'm sure Ed's going to mention as well is that we have all the positions filled and the new hires seem to be doing very well. So that's good news. And we're still keeping in place the COVID procedures, and I think that'll be in place for the next few months at least. So that was all I wanted to say in my chairperson minutes. And next on the list is the minutes from the last meeting. Are there any questions or changes to the minutes from the last meeting?
I have none.
If there aren't, I'm sorry?
I have none.
Okay, I hear a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call because we're on the video.
Jane Flanagan,
Video can come back.
Yes.
There it is.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carl Smith.
Yes. Now I have to apologize. I'm not 100% tonight, so I'm gonna need you folks to, help me keep my head clear here. I'm just, I didn't sleep well last night, so I'm a little foggy. Okay, so Lauren, do we want to take over with our guests?
Sure. So we have Michael Gill, who is counsel for SEPTA, and Alicia Nardo and Stephen Gowan, who are with SEPTA as well. As the board will recall, at last month's meeting, we discussed the coordination between the Matson Mill project and the SEPTA project. We were able to set up a meeting with representatives from both entities, as well as the borough solicitor and Ray, and obviously Fred and John, Ed from the authority, and really nail down what was going on with the project. So basically, there are two phases to the project. First phase.
Turn off your microphones if you're not talking. Thank you.
So the first phase of the project, and the phase that is probably more important for the authority's purposes, is the actual train station renovation. That is the piece that does involve the installation of 2 unisex bathrooms, and obviously will require a public sanitary sewer for that. That is going to connect to a main being constructed by the Matson Mill project, and for that, Matson Mill has agreed to give SEPTA an easement for those purposes. The other half of the project is the parking garage, and that's the piece that we were trying to figure out exactly what was going on. Right now, it is anticipated that there will be no bathrooms added to that project, but the property is actually still in the control of a third party, which is a trust, which is in current negotiations with SEPTA for the sale of that property. So what we discussed with all of the parties was putting an agreement in place that's going to be recorded against the trust property that essentially says that if and when bathrooms are ever necessary, or there's public sewer necessary for that project, that they will assume all the costs of that construction. And part of this is also that Matson Mill will give both Conshohocken Authority and the trust property an easement across their property for purposes of constructing that main, if and when it ever comes to fruition. So everybody seems to be pleased with that result. We have worked with Matson Mill to get all of this language in their service and escrow agreement to make sure that while we're still working on the easements and the legal descriptions, we can at least get the service and escrow approved so that we can start to move the project forward. And the same goes for SEPTA. Fred has worked very closely with them over the last week or so to really nail down what they need for particularly the station in order to move forward, because I know that there was some question about the specifications and all that, but they've been working very closely with Fred to get that nailed down. So I believe that there is no action required this evening for the SEPTA piece of it, but there are a couple of action items with regard to the Matson Mill piece. And Fred and Nicole, if you can correct anything that I misspoke on, that would be great.
No, I think you're exactly right. We did actually obtain the legal descriptions and plot plans for the Matson Mill this afternoon, and we just issued 5:15 or 5:30 an approval letter for their easements. I think we do want to discuss the delineation of what we're taking on the Matson Mill, that we would be taking the extension of the main across, but not the terminal manhole, because it's located in their sidewalk. So we will be taking the main from their sidewalk basically out. The reason is that, and then it would be a private manhole and a private lateral to their building. The reason is that we cannot get our flush truck into that manhole, nor could we maintain it because it's in their sidewalk. We ran into this on, I believe, the Grand property, and we want to handle it the same exact way that we did there due to the access issue to the main. That's the only thing. Other than that, it's a very clean, simple sewer extension.
And Fred, when you're talking about taking, you're obviously referencing to accepting it for dedication, which would not happen until everything is built. So that's something.
That is correct.
Right.
Yes.
That's something that's still kind of in progress, and Matson Mill is getting ready to go. They really want to get their financing going over the next week or so. So that was the push to get this done. But we wanted to coordinate with the borough because we know that from the borough perspective, all the development down there, the 51 Washington, Matson Mill, and SEPTA is all very integrated. So we wanted to make sure that everyone was on the same page, and it sounds like now everybody is.
Yeah, the only other issue would be for the SEPTA people is that if they need any easements across the Matson Mill property, that they coordinate that and let us know what easements they're required for theirs. I think, Stephen, I gave you the standard details and all the information you need for the planning module exemption. So I think you guys should be good to go, and I think the ball's back in your court, to my knowledge.
Yes,
I think we would open it up to the SEPTA folks if there's any
Yes,
questions or comments you
thank
want to add in.
yeah, Fred, I did receive all of those, all the details, etc., and the documentation. So we'll be working on that.
Fred, I had a question in regards to when this plan was being developed. Was the borough involved in this discussion, and have they been? Where are they at on the communication links? Is what I would like to know.
As far as the SEPTA is concerned,
Start with the SEPTA communication, and then the integration with the agreement that's being put together. Were they in the loop on this discussion, and what's the status on that communication?
yes, they have, because as far as the easements and extending sanitary sewer across, they have been, and they've been copied on all of our communications as well. Stephanie Ray, the engineers also copied, but they're copied on almost every communication, all our review letters, and we have reached out independently just to verify where we're going. I've talked to Ray twice on it.
And Mike Peters and Ray were both in the meeting or on the video call with all of the developers, so that everybody was again in the same room and having the same conversations.
Very good. I know there's being copied on an email, but then I'd like to follow up with, communication personal to make sure that, they are receiving it and they're in the loop. All right. Very good.
Okay, Lauren?
From us tonight on this?
There's going to be a couple of motions under the solicitor's report. If you'd like to do them now, we can. Otherwise, like I said, unless the SEPTA folks have something to add or if they have questions, we're happy to take them. And you're welcome to stay on our meeting, or you can not if you'd like.
There was a discussion in our previous meeting on some what this train station is going to look like, and I wanted to follow up on the status of that and see, can we get a look on what this is going to look like?
Yes, hello, this is Alicia Nardo. I'm the PM for the project. We haven't released we have released boards. We've spoken to the Borough Council at public forums beforehand and showed elevations of what the station will look like. I don't presently have anything were you looking for something to get given to the sewer authority for like an overall rendering of the station?
A site plan or a rendering, so we can, as board members, put the pieces together and have a visual concept of what this is going to entail for us and for the community, so we can communicate to people that we come across with.
Yeah, we had submitted a package of drawings to the sewer authority earlier. I'm not sure if that's what can be referenced in this point, or if you like something more representational with color for the public per se.
Because I believe these were all presented at the Borough Council meeting.
Yes.
They
if I
were.
remember
It was
correctly.
presented.
Yes, it was, Felix, and they had diagrams and very nice, colorful drawings in the whole
Right, and there was a
thing.
rendering
And there was a rendering there, so they.
with the
Was
different,
that put on the borough website?
I'm not sure. I don't know if we got to keep that, Felix. I think it might have just been a demonstration at a meeting.
It looked like their presentation.
Right,
Jane, right?
right. They were just big boards. It wasn't something submitted to council.
Yeah. I just want to commend everybody working together because
Right.
this is a high visibility project in Conshohocken, and I appreciate all concerned working together with us so well. So thank you. My cat's knocking everything off the table. Okay. All right. So let me get back on track here. I'm gonna get a good night's sleep tonight.
Felix, just to comment on that, we are working with Lindsay and Seth to put together a composite plan that shows how all the pieces fit together. And once we receive that, we actually did a schematic because it wasn't clear to us. So once we get that, we can distribute that to our board so they can see how all the pieces fit together.
Perfect, Fred. I appreciate that. That's
You could put it
right
in
my
Drop. It can be put in Dropbox then, Fred, for us, right?
Yep, and I think Lindsay and Steven are working on that, and they're putting that together. So we'll distribute that once we receive it.
Okay. We're going to move on to the finance report. Does anybody have any questions on this month's finance report? Oh, Michael Gill, thank you, Michael. He said thank you for everyone. He's not sure if he can be heard, but I saw his text. So thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Does anybody, any questions on the finance report? I didn't have any.
I just had two on the budget report. And they're probably just my not understanding how it's written yet. On the budget report on the first page, under 506.0011, engineering waste load management report. So budgeted was 4,000 and we're already at 39.79 at 99%. So is that an annual bill that comes once a year and that's why it's almost to the end? It's not something allocated every month? Why are we that high?
Ed, is that my Chapter 94 report?
Yes, that
And
is.
so that's an annual report that's done one time. It's due on March 31st. So that's where it consists about every year. And sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little lower. But yeah.
I just want that. Thank you. And then my second was on page 2 for the camera truck. I think we discussed this before, that 3,000 was in the budget, but we spent 4,200, and that was because of repairs to the camera truck. Okay, they were my only two questions.
Well, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
If there are no, and just to let folks know, we are having a finance committee meeting. Janine, I, Shannon, and Kathy will be meeting at 10 o'clock this Thursday. So.
I did have a question on the finance report in regards to cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
I see that it has it has increased. Is there any discussion on that aspect and what's causing that?
It does look high right now, but we did just make a payment of $410,000 on one of the loans.
So the report we're seeing is minus $400,000.
Yeah, yes.
All right. I just want to make sure that we still are implementing a strategy in regards to that, and we're just being on top of it.
Well, that's also one of the reasons we're having a finance committee meeting this week. We're going to be meeting with Kathy. She wants to go over talking about projections from Chris Gibbons and moving forward with where we're at. So she wants to review that. So we will. That's why we're meeting this Thursday, Felix.
Very good. Excellent. And I guess falling under finance, has many customers, has anybody reached out to us in regards to forgiveness or any of the delay payments that we offered?
I wanted to mention
No.
that too, Felix.
We
So-
haven't gotten any,
So there's been no
Any calls
requests,
about
no
that?
businesses, no,
nothing.
and in regards to, West Conshohocken, they received their notification.
They did, and we did get a few calls about that. And there was one person who was not very happy with it with COVID going on, but most of them just wanted to understand.
Business owners or residents?
Residents, just residents.
All right, so none of the business owners, gave us any feedback.
No,
All right, and just to clarify, they've received bills?
they have not received bills with the new rates yet.
Okay,
That
but they
will be in
re-
October.
the notification that the rate structure's changed.
Yes.
Very good.
I had a question on the same, kind of track as Felix. I was reading something today, or yesterday, one of these days, recently about not having water shutoffs during this time period during COVID. And I was wondering if we were still doing shutoffs, or again, if that might be something that we as a board should consider stopping.
The board had given us guidance right at the beginning of the pandemic to not proceed with water shutoffs. So I don't believe we have been doing it. To be honest with you, I don't think we've done any water shutoffs since we implemented the program.
Have we, I don't want to say not advertise is probably the wrong word, but have we made that known to the public that that's something we're not doing during this time period?
I believe we have. We put it out in one of our newsletters 3 months ago, and it's also on the big banner at the community garden.
And it was part of the statement that was that related to the
In the
extended
letter you
payment
sent out.
deadline.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
something maybe we should put on the website as well?
The letter that went out to residents, I believe, is on the website, right, Ed? And that does reference the that we're not doing any shutoffs or anything to that effect.
I don't know if we need to do that, Janine, since we're really not impacting anybody.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's easily done, but we did send it. Lauren sent out that letter which explained everything, and I actually had people coming up to me saying, "You sent me a letter." that was unusual for me. So I
And
think
just-
I think we're
Okay,
in good
then
shape
if we're
with
covered,
that.
we're covered. Great.
And just so the board is aware, I did get a call from Mike English shortly after the letter about the rate structure change went out. And we did get a request for a copy of the authority's rules and regulations, which if they have not been provided yet, will be going out this week to him. But Mike was very understanding of the situation. So.
All right. Are there any more questions on the finance report?
No.
Do I hear a motion to pay the bills in the amount of, and I believe I have this correctly, is this right? $1,289.44? Shannon? Your mic's off.
$100,289.40.
Is that not what I said?
You said 1,000.
See, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm really not 100%. $100,289.44.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
And then roll call, please.
Okay, Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Yes. And do I hear a motion to accept the finance report?
I'll make that motion.
I can second.
And we have to take a roll call vote.
okay, Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. Up to the solicitor's report.
Thank you very much. And I will keep our report short this evening, and I will let Nicole walk through. There are several action items tonight. We have been continuing to work with Ed and Shannon regarding various issues related to the coronavirus pandemic. We already discussed the meeting that we held with the Matson Mill and SEPTA property owners in order to try and facilitate moving those projects forward. I do need to discuss a matter in executive session with the board this evening. I'm not sure if we want to do it towards the end of the meeting or if we want to jump out into a quick executive session now. What I'd like to do in order to facilitate that is keep the live meeting running, but we can jump into a Zoom so I can circulate the information for that, and everybody can either sign off of this meeting and then back on, or we can disable our cameras and microphones and jump into that executive session. But again, that's as far as timing, that's up to the board how you'd like to proceed on that. And Carol, you are muted.
Okay. I think you should do your solicitor's report, and then I would think it would be a good time to go into executive session to discuss it rather than near the end.
How does the executive session work again? What do you?
Yeah, I'm a little scared myself.
I was going to say I'm concerned about my technological skills.
Yeah, you
That's
asked me to
fine.
do,
So
like, 4
probably-
things, and that was way too
Probably
much.
probably the easiest way to effectuate this is we're going to have Ed and Shannon keep the live meeting running, and Stephen, and then everybody can just exit out of the WebEx meeting. I'll circulate a Zoom invite, and then we can join in there and then sign back onto WebEx when we're done the executive session.
And you need us to take action depending on what comes the outcome of this. So
Correct.
this is going to have to be done one way or the other. All right.
Correct.
Okay.
So with that, I will ask Nicole to walk through the multiple action items that are on our solicitor's report this evening. Nicole has been very busy over the last few weeks. So Nicole, all yours.
Yes, so we do have several action items. The first is a resolution to release professional escrow, performance security, and maintenance security for the project located at 435 West 6th Avenue. That is a Rutosky and Trainer project.
Can we go through all the action items and vote on it as a package, or do we have to do it individually?
If you bear with me 1 second, let me just pull up the list.
Yeah, we've always done it individually, but I don't know. That's a good question, Felix.
So some of these involve the release of security, so I'm going to recommend you do them as separate motions.
All right, I'll make a motion.
I second it.
Roll call.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo. Felix,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And then we have a resolution to accept dedication of facilities for the project located at 215 Ford Street. The developer is TJ Acquisitions LLC.
Make a motion.
I'll second it. Roll call.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Jane.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry, the speakers don't.
that's okay. Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And then we have a separate resolution pertaining to that same project. We're going to have a resolution to release maintenance security for the project located at 215 Ford Street.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And then next we have a resolution to release professional escrow, performance security, and maintenance security for the project located at 701 Jones Street. The developer is 720 Spring Mill LP, and the release would be pending satisfaction of any outstanding balances for professional fees. On this project in particular, we did get a request for a waiver of easement-related fees, both legal and engineering fees that were related to any discussion of requiring an easement in the alleyway behind the project. And that was, I think you remember the issue that Mr. Borkowski had come to our meeting about. And so we ultimately decided that we would no longer make it our policy to require easements in those areas. So he is requesting a waiver just of that portion of the fees that are outstanding.
Is that appropriate?
So there's two things that Ty is asking for. We would recommend that the fees that are associated with the Rudolph Clark invoices, as well as the Ebert Engineering invoices that are associated with the engineering or the easements, be absorbed by the authority rather than by the developer because of the outcome. The other piece of this, Ty has submitted bills from his private attorney that he indicates he believes are related to the easement issue, and he is asking the authority to reimburse his private attorney's fees.
And what does our solicitor say about that?
That would be unusual. Ultimately, it's the board's determination. Ty was ultimately not required to get the easements, but the invoices that he submitted really don't detail out that it was necessarily about the easements anyway. If it's something that the board wants to explore, we can certainly ask for more detail to see whether or not the bills were related. But it would be very unusual to reimburse a private attorney's fees.
That's kind of asking a lot. I mean, I can understand the easement fees.
Right. And that we would recommend.
Yeah.
I would hate to start a precedent where we reimburse a private attorney.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
think
not, not in agreement with reimbursing for private attorney's fees.
No.
So are the fees that he listed, you say they're lacking detail?
These are the fees that they're billed from his private attorney, and Ty's arrangement with his private attorney is between him and Ty and
Right.
the attorney. But there
So
was
no, what I'm asking is there details in the receipts that he submitted that, or in the invoice he's forwarding to us, that would give description of what the action items that the attorney did for him?
somewhat. So like some of the entries say meeting with Ty about sewer easement or sewer agreement rather. And there was a couple of agreements. There was a service and escrow agreement that we were working on, as well as the easement issue. So it's unclear what that bill is for. And these are from June of 19. So the memory is a little cobwebby for me.
But I mean, and I'm just this
So-
is why we have solicitors.
Right. So
Why? I mean, we had a disagreement. He got lawyers. I mean, what if we had one? I mean, one would we have given him our legal bills? It doesn't.
no, and
Like
we
I said, it would be it'd be highly unusual.
I think we should take this to executive session, but
We can add this to our executive session material. For sure.
Okay.
and take no action on that request tonight. That would be my preference at this point.
Would the board want to take action on the first piece that has to do with our solicitor's fees
Easement
and
fees?
Fred's fees that are related to the easements? And Nicole has that dollar figure, which what that is.
I'll make a motion for the first part.
I'll second that. Do we have to take a roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
Okay, so then the next thing would be approval and acceptance of a sanitary sewer easement property located at 16 Springmill Avenue. The property owners are Kimberly and F. Scott McGurk. This is an easement on a residential property that is part of the East 9th Avenue easements that we've been acquiring over the last several years. And so there's just a few of them that are still outstanding. Every once in a while, we will get one in. And so this is actually two separate easements pertaining to that property because part of the property is located in Conshohocken and part is located in White Marsh. So it's two separate documents that they executed, but we would be recommending acceptance of both of those easements.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Jane Flanagan,
Sorry.
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And then we have a separate set of easements related to the project located at 203 East 12th Avenue. We have a sewer easement from three separate property owners for 205 East 12th, 207, and 209 East 12th. So these are three property owners who own the property where the sewer main is now proposed to be installed, whereas before it was proposed to be installed in the roadway. They have granted permission for the developer to go in. This is a Ratoski and Trainer project as well, to go in and install the sewer main in their front yards. So That developer went out and he did secure 3 easements, and so the authority is asked to accept those tonight.
Does this easement require review by Fred?
I think it was by Fred.
I think Fred and John had already approved the legal descriptions for the easements.
That's correct.
That's correct.
All right, very good.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
We would ask for the board to ratify the decision to hire Justin Davis in the position of utility person effective July 10th, 2020. This was a selection that the board did approve in executive session as a personnel matter, and so this is just a final ratification of that decision for this employee who started on July 10th.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo, Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And next we have the ratification of the hiring of Jesse Listener as the authority's summer intern effective June 29th, 2020.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
I do just have a couple things on the Matson Mill project, which are not listed on our solicitor's report, but we've been kind of trying our best to get everything wrapped up so we're not holding up this project in any way. And so we have been working on the service and escrow agreement with the attorney for Matson Mill. We do have a few T's to cross and I's to dot, but we believe that it's appropriate for the board to approve that agreement tonight, and then we can go ahead and make any final revisions subject to final approval by our office. This would be for approval of the an escrow agreement for the Matson Mill project.
Okay. All right, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Oh, go ahead.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. Technology. Got the Zoom meeting.
And then also for the Matson Mill project, we are requiring an agreement with the trust property, which is the neighboring lot 2, as it's being called on these plans. We are requiring agreement stating that the trust property, in the event that it doesn't end up being a parking garage for SEPTA over there, any and all future obligations to install sanitary sewer service to that property are going to be with that property. So that is another agreement that we would be presenting for your approval tonight, pending any final revisions to be approved by the solicitor's office.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Yes.
Yes.
Shannon, you're
You're on
muted.
mute. We're reading your lips.
Yes.
All right, let's do that again. Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And this is the last, I promise. Also in connection with Matson Mill, and this is somewhat tied into the agreements that you've already approved tonight, but they have made the request that the board waive its policy to require all development to extend the sewer main to the property line. And so that is implicit in the agreement with the trust property that they will not be extending the sewer main to that property line, but we would like board approval since that is a waiver of the board's normal policy.
Can you refresh me on this, Lauren or Nicole? I'm sorry, I did.
Sure. So the connection, the manhole that's going to connect the Matson Mill property is essentially right in the middle of the Matson Mill frontage along Washington Avenue.
Right.
Originally, we had requested them to extend the main up the garage property to connect. But because someone is saying that they're not going to require sewer and that if they do eventually, they'll build the sewer at their own risk,
Okay, that's
asked
what
to waive that requirement.
Thank you. Like I said, my brain's a little
No problem.
long, but yeah, I make that motion.
Second it.
Okay, Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And that concludes our report this evening.
Thank you, Nicole.
Okay, so prior to accepting the solicitor's report, it would be appropriate to go into executive session. I texted all the board members the login information, so you can either click the link in that or sign in through the Zoom app of potential litigation and personnel. And no action is required following the executive session.
Okay, so we're on to the engineering report, correct?
Actually, the solicitor's
Right,
report
so I have
has
to-
not been accepted.
Yes, so that's right. Do I hear a motion to accept the solicitor's report?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second? I'll second. Can I second myself?
You can't second yourself, but
I'll second.
All
There we
right.
And Carol, I was on mute before, but I was definitely better looking in the other light, so I'm gonna have all meetings downstairs. I was kicked out for Fortnite, so I'm sorry.
Oh,
Now you have to deal with me in this light, which is
yeah.
definitely
I'm not
inferior.
I'm not putting my face back up there. It makes me sad. So, all right. So
has Felix rejoined us yet? Oh, there he is.
There he is.
all right. So on to the engineers report.
Wait, do roll call. Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
Finding a good spot to be. It was hot outside.
It's
Sure it is.
I wasn't staying there. All right, thank you, Carl.
so where are we? The engineers report?
Engineers report.
Good. Interesting sidebars. They're having conflicts out on 51 Washington right now. So I am watching my phone again, construction updates as they're uncovering some additional unmarked utilities. But the first topic tonight is in response to a follow-up to last month on the capital budget. And really what the procedure that we're proceeding under is for really our authority to review and approve the items and costs and making sure that you're on board with it. Then obtain an estimated debt payments that we can present to Plymouth. We would then meet with Plymouth with all items that you guys have reviewed and are recommending to be included in the capital budget for a potential loan. And then address any of Plymouth's comments, see that they're on board, and then determine, which is probably going to require board action, if they want to participate in any lending opportunities that we do where we are going to do any long-term financing of that. So, and when I wrote my board report, I purposely broke it up into items that are the wastewater treatment plant or interceptor, which we share with Plymouth, and then into separate items that are only ours, because Plymouth would only have to participate in the items, based on the proportional share. And I tried to provide everyone, because I don't think the board has seen this for a long time, as to what the items are as far as a description of what we're going to do it. So I was going to go through them item by item unless the board has already reviewed that and doesn't need to go through them item by item.
I've reviewed them.
I did too.
Yeah, Fred, we've discussed pretty much every one of these items here over
Yeah,
the
we
years
have.
at some point.
Yep. So that's why I just wanted to refresh you and hopefully save ourselves the time on that. So that if the board doesn't have any questions on these, what we were going to do is to get an estimated cost of what the annual payments would be, and then sit down, present this as a formal report, as a formal update to our capital budget with explanations to Plymouth Township and get their input on whether they agree, disagree with them. Once we have them on board with them, if you guys are, acceptable to this recommendation or this budget, we would then, and they'll probably have to take action as to whether they want to make, lump sum payments, or if they just want to pay an annual bond service, whatever they desire to do, we would get that back. And then we could, I think, go out potentially for a lending opportunity and take advantage of these. But I wanted to be here to answer any questions that you guys had on these line items. And I think the one thing, a direction that I would ask is I think we probably would recommend including the RVC Train B into the overall item. I talked to both Ed and Steve, and that one is really original. And while it was working, it's scheduled to be replaced in, I think, 2023. This lending is going to be, it will be near the end of it, but we might as well take advantage of it now. I don't know what interest rates will be 2 or 3 years from now. And that would, it's a little bit of an increase for them, but, we also save, our overall dollars are approximately the same because we save money on the belt floater press, we spend a little bit more money on the substations, but we're doing it right. And the other thing that we're really doing is we're maintaining our schedule of staggered and regular replacement of things. That pumps are done every so many years. The RVCs are every 5 years, so it's 15 years between RVCs. That way, we're maintaining that program, and this budget does that. So, unless the board has any questions on that one, I think we would make the recommendation to then present this to Plymouth, get a estimated cost from Chris Gibbons on what their share of a debt service would be per year, and then, get the any comments and address any comments with Plymouth Township and their consultant.
Fred, I did have a question as we do our planning for the future. Plymouth is their planning for the future, and I know that a few years back there was discussion on Hartacton Road or Steel Plant Road.
Yep.
We should incorporate that into the discussion with Plymouth as they look forward, we look forward, that we're working together with them and meeting their needs too.
Absolutely. And I know they have a significant amount of capacity, but there may be more required. And I know that the steel plant was up for sale, and I thought another steel plant was actually buying it, but there is a lot of land on the opposite side that we should get an update from them. Absolutely. It's a very good comment.
Thank you, Felix.
Right, moving on, the liner project, phases 2 and 3. On phase 2, which we have already received the grant for, the right of entry application was signed by Carol and submitted to SEPTA. SEPTA has accepted it, and Nicole was working with their attorney to make sure that we can proceed with the survey work. And I don't know if Nicole had gotten any confirmation of that back yet or not.
Yeah, I was able to confirm that we can go ahead and coordinate site access. So if you have a contact at SEPTA that you're able to coordinate with, you can go ahead and do that.
We will do that. the next phase of it, which is phase 3, the grant was has been submitted or is going to be awarded, or they're going to announce awards, we believe, on August 13th. So that has been postponed twice by COVID. It was originally going to be, in March or March to May, then it went to June, and now we believe they're having a special meeting for that. So we will know whether that third phase will be awarded. If we're not successful in that grant, we may need to include that in the bond and the capital budget.
Yeah.
So right now, it is not included until we hear back on the grant, but we may need to include that.
Fred, when did you say we would hear about the grant?
It's August 13th. I may be off by a day or two, but I believe it's August 13th.
So that's pretty soon. That's good.
But it's within 2 weeks. So that's kind of why we've kind of held it out, because we will know one way or the other if they're going to have that one. Next thing is really to go over developer projects. As I kind of said a little bit earlier, they're out working on 51 Washington Street. It has been going very, very slow because there's a lot of old abandoned things in the way. There's a gas main that was old and abandoned that we literally had to take out a section of pipe. So they're getting 20 to 30 feet a night, and that's it. And they're working 8 to 10 hours. They actually are worried about hitting our sanitary sewer force main. I've been getting texts during this meeting on that. We're still about 8 feet away, but they're actually running into the side of our trench. So they are very closely monitoring that, and I'm getting updates literally as we speak and photos out there. Matson Mill, as we talked about, we're really down to just assisting the solicitor's office. They've approved the plans. We've approved the plans. We approved the easements tonight. We do have a issue with SEPTA in that there is a overhead utility pole in the way of their proposed sanitary sewer line, and we're just waiting for clarification as to whether that will be removed. We've also, because of the interconnection, we've asked Bowler, who's a common solicitor for all of these, common engineer, to put together a composite plan so I can see how everything fits together and I'm not literally cutting and pasting things together. 7 Tower Bridge, they are working to dedicate a privately owned sanitary sewer main or the new force main. So we're working with the developer's engineer, and they're assembling the necessary paperwork. But more important than that, they are upgrading the frame and cover to meet our authority specifications. As we previously announced and we had approved, we did receive and review and approve the East 12th Avenue easements on there. And we've also asked them to extend the easement all the way out there. And last development we have going is 400 Bar Harbor. They are definitively proceeding with some plan reviews, and we provided them additional plan comments on a draft submission that they gave us. That completes my report, unless the board has any questions.
Fred, just before you complete your report, are you looking for approval from the board for the capital budget or just direction to proceed as you outlined?
I'm just asking for direction to proceed so that I can bring the board back any comments that I can represent the Plymouth that our board has reviewed and approved it, and subject to their review and approval. And then I would bring that back with any changes that Plymouth has for formal adoption by our board.
Perfect. Okay.
If the board is so inclined that way, that would be my recommendation.
Thank you, Fred. I want to go forward with this. I want to hear from the rest of the board members.
Yes, I think we should go forward.
I'm in agreement too.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you, Fred. Please go
Thank you,
forward.
Fred.
we will make arrangements. I am going to reach out to Chris Gibbons and get a Plymouth portion of what a debt service would be with what he envisions the loan market to be right now, just so I can present them with that as the option. If they agree with all the items, you can either take the payment plan and participate with us as part of our loan, or just pay us a lump sum check.
Fred, can you send us a text or send me a text if we get the grant?
Oh, wow. Trust me, there will be an email out if we get the grant.
Okay.
Either way, I will make the board fully aware
Okay.
of where we're at on that. But
I mean,
if
that's like the
anyone
best- I'm-
happens,
You know, if we get that, that's like the best news I've had in a while, so.
yeah. So if anyone has, Senator Hughes, Senator Hughes, has been very helpful in getting us those. So if anyone has any contacts at all with them, it would be great to do that. I believe that they will be meeting in the next week to discuss the applications. So, we've gotten, I don't want to be greedy, but we've gotten, out of the last 2 rounds, we've gotten them. So hopefully, we will be 3 for 3.
And it would be great. It's just it really helps us out, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we gave Plymouth a lot of money back because of it.
I know.
Sorry, Jeannie, or Jane?
No, I was going to say, I'll talk to Colleen Leonard, and I'm sure that Borough Council could send a letter in support of this too.
That would be fantastic,
Yeah,
Jane.
because he's been in our building several times.
That would be fantastic.
Plymouth can submit the same letter too,
Right.
working in.
That's right, Felix.
In conjunction with Plymouth.
Right, and more likely to get passed if it's with another township also.
Right, and
True.
Lauren, will you take care of that discussion?
Yes, I will get that moving.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we gave Plymouth like $450,000 back because of our efforts in obtaining grants.
I think it was, 410?
A lot of money.
Yeah, no, it's, I know it was around 400, yeah. Yeah, that's, I'd be happy to have that, so. All right,
That completes my report. Nope, go ahead.
If anybody doesn't have any other questions for Fred, do I hear a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Jane Flanagan. Felix Palumbo.
Yes.
Dean Riley.
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. Oh, see, I tell you. All right, we're up for the operation manager's report.
Okay, I want to report that our new utility person started and he's doing really well. He's 2 weeks in. He's getting ready to take a CDL test for his permit. And also our intern started and she's working out really well too. She's in her second phase in the operations of the plant right now. Her first phase was in the collection system. So that's all I got.
Oh, okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the, does anyone have any questions for Ed?
I'm just curious, Ed, where did our intern, or where is she attending school?
Oh, I don't have it in front of me. I think it was Maryland, the University of Maryland, I believe.
Okay.
I want to say
I
Ed
met her.
told me-
I met her, Jane.
Did you?
Yeah, Ed gave me an update when. Remember, Ed, you were like, she's already going down in the tanks and she has no problem with that. So, I just.
Yeah, you said the same thing to me. It was, she seemed to really be jumping in.
Yeah. and I believe she is. I forget what.
Literally jumping in.
She's a science major, so again, that's right, Ed.
Yes.
So.
Oh, and didn't she do some other stuff, Ed? She uploaded some stuff and she did.
She's been filling it everywhere, yes. She's been doing a little computer work for us. She's
Oh, that's
actually
great.
climbing in the tanks, in the empty tanks, and she's really excited to get to learn off the end.
That's wonderful.
Get her hands dirty. I'll just keep making the jokes.
Yeah.
We-
But I'm,
Well,
Miss me, Stephen?
Just to jump in on the
Buzz on, I
conversation, I do have her resume here, and she is a student at the University of Delaware. She is going for her
I'm
bachelor's
sorry.
in environmental engineering.
That's it. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole. I was just curious, always wondering about kids and their careers and
Yeah. The
you're
University
gonna
of
be like,
Delaware
ask
is very
Alexa.
good in the sciences. So,
that's awesome.
okay. So do I hear a motion?
Well, hold on, one more thing, Carol. I just wanted to, this summer's we've been quite a little heat wave going on, and we've been out walking around and having the plant, if you're not right there, you don't smell it.
I would compliment Ed and the crew because I have to tell you, it's been wonderful. I agree with Felix, especially between the high heat and then the sudden outbursts and the downpours of water. Every time that happens, I get a little nervous.
Right.
But it's been wonderful. So
That's true. Those are a lot of extreme stressors.
Right.
It's been working really well. So,
It has.
compliments.
Yep. Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the operation manager's report?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Jane Flanagan. Felix.
Yes.
Janine Riley
Yes.
and Carol Smith.
Yes. Okay, the collection and maintenance reports. I don't know if we have any questions or if you.
I don't know if we've ever had a question.
No, we didn't. No.
Felix has had questions on the collections report.
What's that?
I said Felix has had questions on.
I've
the
had
collections report.
questions. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate that. No questions tonight, though.
All right, if there's no questions on the collections and maintenance report, do I hear a motion to accept that?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Jane Flanagan. Felix Rem-
Yes.
Janine Riley.
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And Madam Chair, just before we get a motion to adjourn, there should be noted in the minutes that the board met following the last meeting to discuss items of executive session.
Thank you, Lauren. And Stephen, thank you for coming. I don't know if you'll need to come to the next meeting. I just wanted to invite you here in case anybody had any questions for you. And
Okay.
just to let people know that you worked together with him this past week and getting some financial documents straightened out.
Right, and everyone's okay with me attending the meeting with Plymouth and going, talking to Chris Gibbons about potential borrowing of money? Are we under that understanding as well, or do you not want to be involved in that?
I think in the history and Stephen's knowledge of the financial background of the authority, as well as the history of Plymouth, it makes sense to have Stephen involved in that. This will be Ed's first go around with Plymouth, I believe.
I agree. It'll be a training session for Ed, and Stephen will provide backup. So that'll be good for you, Ed.
I would appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone else is good. I'm good.
I'm fine.
All right. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Okay. Do we have to do a roll call for adjournment?
You can do a voice vote for adjourn.
Thank you, everybody. And I'm sorry I was a little off tonight.
See everybody.
You take
Good night.
care.
Take
All right.
care.
Bye.
Good night. Good seeing
All
everybody.
right, stay safe.
Dude,
Take it easy, Stephen.
have you heard any updates on anything down there? Let me stop recording. Hold on a
How
second.
do I get? I need to turn this off.